Hello and welcome to the Film Angle. I'm Alex,
And I'm Kris.
and today we are catching up once more. Last week we kind of teased our predictions kind of for who was going to win the Oscar because we recorded and before the Oscar results, and
Yeah.
then the Oscar results came out and we were kind of like jokingly saying congratulations to The Power of the Dog, blah blah blah. But it turns out The Power of the Dog didn't really do all that well. I mean, Best Director for Jane Campion, well deserved, but out of its 11 nomination, I think it only came home with the one.
And still no wins for Clifford the Big Red Dog as well, I see.
Yeah, it's weird that I think that was like blacklisted, like it was off everybody's nominations. I didn't see it referenced once. It was
Yeah,
yeah,
it was too edgy for the Academy. I get it. But yeah, I was surprised by The Power of the Dog as well. I mean, I thought it got the most nominations and it had a lot of hype over the last few months. So I'm really surprised that it only got one or two wins there.
yeah, definitely. Though it was the whole kind of ceremony overshadowed. Like we probably Well, do we need to touch on it? We can't. We'll touch on it because it was a big thing in the film industry. But yeah, the Will Smith slap. Um, got up on stage and slapped Chris Rock. What a weird turn of events. Did not think I'd be waking up to that.
Yeah, I found the whole ordeal to be both surreal and the fact that I couldn't believe that what I was watching, and equally disappointing.
Yeah, yeah. From both sides, really. Not a funny joke, and not the way to react in that situation. Really kind of tarnished Will Smith's Oscar win that night. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, in it overshadowed the best winner, which was Coda.
Yeah. Yeah, which was really like, where did that come from? I mean, the last couple of months, that movie really built up momentum out of nowhere. I caught it like halfway through last year. I loved it then, but I never thought that we'd be talking about that movie in this way. And it's kind of sweet, you know. It's kind of nice to see a movie that kind of appeals to a lot of people, will be very accessible, and might turn people towards watching the Oscars a little bit when they feel like, okay, this is a movie I can see, like I get, and that one Best Picture, I thought it was really sweet.
Yeah, it is a really sweet film, and it's interesting. It's kind of it's not the kind of film that wins Best Picture. Definitely not the flashiest
No,
of films this year. And I don't want to take away from its win. It's maybe not the most deserving of the nominees, but do you know I'm not disappointed at its win. I really enjoyed Coda. We spoke about it on a
hmm
previous episode. I cried a few times at it. Like it
yeah,
emotionally
absolutely.
moved me in a good way, and that's what film should do. So yeah, it wasn't flashy, and yeah, it's a bit cliche, but it was a nice film, and they do the Oscar votes now, so it's a case of it's not just pick one; it's like pick preferences, isn't it? It's like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
is my number one choice, this is my number two choice, and because Coda's a pretty all round decent film that most people are going to enjoy, I can understand why maybe it probably got a few of those kind of like middling points and just built up because people can take there's other films on that list where some people might love it and some people might hate it. Like there's a different
Yeah.
proportion of people who think different ways. But I think Coda's just very much like, yeah, it was good.
Also, I think it's really easy to sneer like conventional filmmaking and say, oh, it's cliche and everything, but it's really hard. Like it manages to do the conventional stuff really, really well. It optimizes it and does it in a way that's almost too sentimental, but doesn't quite get there. And I think that's quite an achievement in itself. It's like Ladybird when we had Ladybird the every year, which is quite a slight film and quite. It doesn't do anything overly fancy, but I think it's great that we recognize movies that aren't just all flash and panache sometimes, and it's actually quite hard to make a movie that's just kind of like a family drama sometimes. And yeah, I loved it. I'm looking forward to rewatching it again.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's just one of those films you could recommend to your gran. She's
Yeah,
going to enjoy it.
yeah, I'm going to be watching it with my parents when I go back to Ireland in a couple of weeks, and I bet they're going to lap it up.
Will Smith obviously won Best Actor. Jessica Chastain took Best Actress, which I think that was a bit of a surprise for me. I definitely thought it was, uh, going towards maybe. Well, I guess the big three that I would have chosen from would have been Olivia Colman, Kristen Stewart, and Penelope Cruz. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
It was a hard category to guess, really, wasn't it? I mean, because it kept shifting all the time. I mean, at the beginning, we would have said it since Spencer came out. It was like, oh, Kristen Stewart for sure. That's
yeah.
such a surefire Oscar win, classic win there. And then there's the backfire of that. And then recently, it's been between Cruz and Chastain, and that just came out of nowhere. So you can never, what your thoughts were 6 months ago. You got to keep up with it. You got to keep up with the news because there is shifting opinions always.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and you're the only one out of the two of us who have seen the Eyes of Tammy Faye. I saw that it did actually drop on Disney Plus the other day, so I'll
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
be
that's right.
checking it out soon for Jessica Chastain's performance. But I know you liked her. I think you said it was a pretty mediocre film, but you liked her in it.
It was a film of many. It came from many different places, and some of those elements just didn't work. But she was, without a doubt, the strongest part of that movie for sure. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Chastain. You know, she deserves an award. Maybe not for this movie, but I'm happy she still got it. You were kind of busy over the weekend, but should we I know I spent a lot of time last week talking about Star Trek and subsequently probably making all five of our listeners turn the podcast off.
Uh,
So I'll make this short and sweet, shall I? I caught up with Star Trek 5 and 6 last week just to wrap up the original crew movies, and it's just been a great journey. I mean, with its fair share of ups and downs for sure. Um the first one I caught up with, Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier. Promising title, right? It sucks that goes to this one because it's probably the worst Star Trek movie. I won't go too into it, but Leonard Nimoy obviously directed the last two movies, and everybody knows how ego-driven that William Shatner is. It's just what he is known for. He immediately, after Nimoy directed the first movie, was like, "Well, if Nimoy gets to direct a movie, then so should I." So,
okay.
yeah, Paramount Pictures finally cave in and let him co-write and direct this one, and it goes pretty much exactly how you expect it. Not to say that it's unwatchable; it's just pretty lame.
Is it something like the all the even numbers of Star Trek films are good and all the odd ones are bad? Is that
That
ring
seems to be
true?
the yeah. That seems to be my favorite. Or 246. Yeah,
There you go. There you go.
yeah. It's got like a weird religious messiah angle where the crew comes into contact with Spock's long lost, forgotten half brother, who hijacks the Enterprise to travel to the center of the universe to meet God, which really isn't very Star Trekky anyway. Um,
Classic.
yeah, it's a classic plot. We do actually get to meet a God with a big white beard, and
Oh wow. Do you know
it's
I've been like last week you made me want to watch the Star Trek films. Like I said, I'm not watching the TV show anytime soon.
that's
But
fair.
I've been looking. I was seeing like, oh, how much is it going on YouTube? £2 £2.49 a rent. Oh, I might give these a go. I might give these a go. So I'm well into to catching up with them. Mainly just for that. Is it the fourth one where they go to find some humpback whales? I'm
Oh,
just
yeah,
that
it's
you've
worth.
sold me on that.
I'm not under promising. It's exactly what you're expecting and more. Yeah, it's great. And then we jump to Star Trek 6, which is the last one of the original crew, the Undiscovered Country. Um, real that was a real return to form for me. Worst title, but better movie. Nicholas Meyer returns, who made the Wrath of Khan, so he comes back and really kind of steers us back in the right direction here. It's just a great send off for the crew, and Christopher Plummer plays a Shakespeare spewing Klingon, and it's just a really well plotted and dynamic Star Trek movie. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that. I've got it out of my system.
Uh,
Um, Please, Alex, get into Star Trek movies soon. I think you'll have a good crack of them.
Nice, nice. Yeah, as you were saying, Chris, I did have a bit of a busy weekend. I went back to see the parents down
Oh,
in
what a
Cornwall.
drag!
Yeah, yeah, absolute drag, absolute drag. Uh, I'm only kidding. They probably are listening. So no, I loved it. It was a great time, but we didn't end up watching any films together this time. I did introduce them to Ted Lasso though. Got my 6 months free subscription on Apple TV, so I'm making the most of it. but
Oh,
I knew they'd love that show. And do you know what? I think we just needed something like light and funny to watch.
yeah.
So Ted Lasso really kind of hit those things that we needed. It's a great show, really, really good. But before that weekend, on the Friday, I was able to watch a film, and I was scrolling movie. I needed something relatively short, and this was, I think it was about 80 minutes. And on their kind of description, it said, this film sparked the Toronto new wave of indie films, and I thought, hey, I'm going to Toronto later this year. Let's watch this film. That is all that sold me on it. I was just like, all right, and I kind of like doing films like that sometimes where you don't have a clue what you're about to get into. But if it's on Mubi, then there's usually some kind of
What?
something good about it. It's curated for you to enjoy it. But
Oh yeah, movie's great. What movie was this?
oh yeah, it's called I've Heard The Mermaids Singing, and it's a 1987 Canadian comedy drama film.
So you
Um,
said you're watching this in preparation for going over to Toronto. Get yourself engrossed into the atmosphere there. I understand that. I'm a bit like that too.
but yeah, it's from 1987, so with the Toronto that it's in is probably um, you know a different
Changed.
Toronto to the Toronto I'm going to. But I really enjoyed it. It felt very ahead of its time. So basically, it's about a kind of secretary called Polly, and she kind of narrates the films on this kind of like VHS camera. She's a bit of an artist herself. I guess you could say she's like, in that kind of arty headspace where she's like sees the world in a different way, and she's a bit whimsical and stuff like that. And then there's these beautiful sequences of like black and white photography like scattered throughout the film of her kind of seeing Toronto in this kind of way, and following people with her camera and stuff, and that's really interesting. But it's also, she's a secretary for an art curator that she's like kind of falling in love with, and there's a bit of a like a melodramatic kind of third act to it where
Ah, I see.
you know, the curator's lover is really doing the art that the curator has
Oh,
said was
okay.
hers, and like it gets a little like I was quite shocked by the melodramatic nature of the final act, but I kind of really liked it at the same time because it presents itself as this like very early mumblecore indie film that feels quite, it feels very much like the kind of indie films that you would get in the late 90s, early 2000s,
Okay.
about artists doing art in a big city. It's usually New York these days, but here it's Toronto.
So you think this
Um,
has like a real pioneering sort of vibe to it? Like it feels like it's kind of doing it first?
yeah, it definitely feels like it. I mean, 1987,
Yeah, I mean, like if you say it has the vibe of a late '90s movie, then it's kind of catching on very quickly.
definitely, definitely. Like, this was before Linklater, I think. Like, I don't think Slacker came out till 91 maybe, or something like
Mm.
this, that kind of hit that kind of American indie scene that kind of feels the same, where it's like people just going around.
Like a day in the life, sort of more of meandering, sort of sentiment plot,
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
character
like
study,
it's not until the end where there's any kind of
conflict.
major plot that, it's not very story driven, it is very character driven. And obviously it's got the gay element to it as well.
Yes.
And it's really good. It's really good, and directed by Patricia Patricia Romeza. Um, and it went on to win awards at Cannes and everything. So
Well,
it's
okay.
I was pleasantly surprised by just chucking on this seemingly random film, but clearly,
I've got to
clearly,
check it out because I've seen the poster. Like it's got a really striking poster, and I've seen it. A lot of people put it on their lists on Letterboxd and online, so I know it's quite an influential movie. So I will take the time to catch up on that. Definitely.
yeah, it's not long. It's not long, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Something different. I really love finding films this way, and just kind of a film that
Yeah.
you never knew existed 5 minutes ago, and
It's just
then
taking a punt sometimes and like going, I'm just gonna put that on and I'm just gonna watch it. I'm not gonna read up about it or anything and just let the movie speak for itself. And sometimes that can be a really nice and like surprise and quite reaffirming sometimes in your like how much you love movie. It's like, oh, this is why I like movies, how I can catch you off guard.
yeah, definitely. A movie's really good at that, at bringing you films that you wouldn't have thought about watching or maybe even heard of them most of the time. So really good for that. So yeah, if I was going to watch one film in this past week, that's the one I did, and I'm happy I did. It was yeah, really enjoyed it.
So, off of your recommendation, the other week, Alex, I managed to catch up with the Rescue documentary about the Thai
Ah,
football. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, about the Thai football team of young boys who were trapped in a cave for 16 days. I'd like to say. Yeah, you didn't lie to me though that it was it was intense viewing. I still can't fathom how they managed to rescue these people, considering how stacked the odds were against them.
Yeah.
It's actually like I when explained it to me, and it's like right, we went for this thing, we made them unconscious, we carried them through like 2 to 3 hours worth of tunnel systems. I was like, how did you actually do it? How did nobody die here? Absolutely still boggles the mind. It feels like it's something that didn't even happen. It's such an act of heroism that I can't get over. Um, yeah, incredibly moving documentary. It's not too fancy with the filmmaking, but just lets the events speak for themselves and carry you through the journey of probably humanity at its finest.
Definitely, definitely. And it's weird. Did you find as well that you kind of start to doubt whether you remembered the situation right, like that everybody survived? It's really good at building the tension for a film, for a story that you know the outcome.
Yeah, well, I think the movie unintentionally shines a light on how simplistic media representation of events can be.
Yeah,
When you're seeing this, you're seeing all the cave stuff, and yes, that is artifice. It is a like you said last week. It's a constructed set where they film these sets, but it really blurs the lines between what is fiction and non-fiction, and that's really risky. But here, it's presented in such, I would say, a grounded and visceral way that it only aided the story and gave us as an audience a full picture of the scale of what these brave men had to endure. I think it's a really inspiring piece of work, and I loved how how after a time where we've been so contentious, a lot of things going on with the pandemic and everything, it's really nice to see that human beings can be selfless, with and not agenda driven, and really go out their way to help people. I thought it was really sweet.
what else have you been catching up on, Chris?
I caught up with my girlfriend bought me Lauren bought me the Evil Dead box set last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A little series, like everybody, even in school, everybody, like in my class, like all the movie nerd kids in my class would be like, "Oh, The Evil Dead is like the best movie ever made," and everything. And I was like, "I'll get around to it one day." And yeah, I watched the original Evil Dead movie from 1981. That movie rules, considering the limitations of the time. Really set itself apart from other quote unquote cabin in the woods movies with the vigor and talent behind the filmmaking. It really became one of the first video nasties of the VHS era. If you heard that term before, it's like
Yeah.
movies that were really like considered to the kind of OTT for the general public, and like only weirdos would watch them. But
Yeah.
like nowadays it's regarded as it's unsettling, but due to the low budget aspects of the movie and the makeup, it's really really good.
Yeah.
I tried to watch the original movie of Lauren actually quite recently, and it's the only movie in years that she couldn't handle.
Really? Oh wow. Okay. See, I haven't seen Evil Dead either.
Hmm.
Like again, it's one of those things that a lot of people have spoken about, and it's been on my list. I'm a big Raimi fan because of the Spider-Man films, and I actually had it on my kind of list this year to kind of tick them off before Sam Raimi comes back to do, another superhero film in the, Doctor Strange in the genre that he defined in the early 2000s with Spider-Man. So yeah, I think I'll be
Strange career, isn't it?
very strange, very Doctor Strange.
uh,
Sorry, bad,
Terrible,
bad
terrible.
joke, bad
I'm,
joke.
I'm, I'm going to keep that in just to embarrass you.
Yeah, Yeah, that's punishment worthy of that bad joke. Um,
Well, last week so obviously, so I said I watched The Evil Dead last year. I managed to catch up with the sequel, Evil Dead 2, last weekend, and it was so much fun that took the series into a new direction for me. It was really creative, drenched in blood, and had a way more tongue in cheek energy.
yeah.
Have you ever caught? Like you said you're planning on catching up with the Evil Dead series. Like you'd love it, man. It's so unrelenting in how it constantly surprises you. Ash, the main character, who is infamously played by Bruce Campbell, is
Yep.
right up your street. I think you'd really dig him.
Yeah, I'm aware of the films and kind of somewhat how they play out. But yeah, I expect more Evil Dead talk in the
Yeah.
episodes in the future because I think we're both going to be catching up with that.
I think it's something like next time we meet up or something that might be a fun watch for us too. That could be good.
Definitely, definitely, definitely.
And then yeah, there was one more thing I caught up with. Obviously, I promised myself I've started my adventure of going through the Universal monster movies, and this time I ticked off 1933's The Invisible Man, starring horror movie icon Claude Rains. Really not what I expected. Well, I imagine this might have been more scary back in the day because the special effects are actually really, really impressive. And I imagine that in the 30s, no one really had seen these type of movie, like this type of effects on screen before. Yeah, I thought the film would follow suit with more of a film like Frankenstein and show us the man, doing the experiments in the lab and ultimately turning himself into the Visible Man and causing havoc. But it's not that kind of movie. Actually, it's really
Okay.
clever. Yeah, it's really clever. It's got this opening where he is already the Invisible Man. This is like after he's already been transformed by his experiment. And his head is all wrapped up in bandages. He wears trilby and gloves, and it's really quite striking figure. I mean, it's quite an iconic presence on screen.
Yeah.
Anyway, he stumbles into a local tavern, demands to have lodgings with the promise that he cannot be disturbed by anyone. He sets up then a laboratory in his room and then tries to find the antidote to change him back, but due to curiosity and rumors from everybody else in town, that plan soon goes down the piper and he goes on a mischievous and murderous rampage. It's really fun.
Nice, nice. Doesn't sound anything like the recent one. I wondered whether there would be is there any kind of have they taken some of the kind of elements that made it good for the new one, or is it really just a much more modern reimagining of that monster?
Yeah, no similarities here. It's a much different tone. I mean, I guess you could point similarity in the fact that he likes to mess about with people. Yeah, it's actually quite surprising how light the original movie is. It's got a comedic tone to it. But yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's definitely worth catching up on, and it's really good when you catch up on a movie like that because it's like a big movie that you need to tick off your list, right? It's like those
Yeah.
old movies. It's like next I'm probably going to go on to The Mummy and probably Dracula and just get those off the list. It's like big movies that I need to see.
Oh well, but move over Dracula. There's a new vampire in town. How excited are you for Morbius?
I've already right by this point in time, we've already seen the early reviews. They are terrible to say the least, but I'm not surprised. I've seen the trailer like 3 times when on recent cinema trips.
Yeah.
It looks like a movie that came out 20 years ago. I don't know what to say. It doesn't look good.
Yeah, I know I've just kind of like very cheekily chucked that in so we could just make fun of the fact that Morbius is even a film that exists.
It's crazy.
And yeah, it sounds as if it's as bad as it looks. As a Spider-Man fan, like I am probably the audience that they should be going for because Morbius is a Spider-Man villain.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell I'm going to watch that film. I don't even know why they're making a Morbius film. So who's the audience? If it's not me, then who is it?
It's interesting because it really feels like it's trying to follow suit with the Venom movies. It has that sort of tone, that visual aesthetic to it. Those movies were also really critically panned. Be really interesting, but audiences really took on board the Venom movies and really loved them. For some
Yeah.
reason, I still haven't seen the Venom movies. I don't really, not really up to date
I
with the
have, I
discourse.
have, I
Yeah,
have. I hate them both. I think they're awful.
but people love them. What is it that people love? Is it the star power of Tom
I think
Hardy?
I I think it is. I think there's a campy nature to his performance, and then obviously you've got this kind of double act with Venom talking back to him and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, but they're
Is there the
really.
potential that this can happen with Morbius as well, even though it's a critical failure? Audiences can
I
carry it
don't
through.
know. I don't know. With Venom, he's kind of, even though again he's a Spider-Man villain, he does have a fan base outside of that, and obviously the imagery of Venom is quite iconic.
Yeah,
You know, for even if you haven't read a comic, you know who Venom is. I think these days, but I I, I don't know. I don't. Jared Leto doesn't have the kind of
charisma.
fan base that Tom Hardy has. There's, as far as I'm aware, because obviously I haven't seen the film, but there's not some kind of duality to his character in terms of somebody speaking to him. Um,
No,
like
he's kind of
he's
doing
just
sad boy routine a little bit.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know who this film is made for. I'm not going to be going out to see it, so I guess we won't be reviewing it anytime soon. But yeah, it is
Oh
quite
boy.
fun. It sometimes there's you don't want to laugh at a film failing, but Sony need to get their act together when it comes to these Spider-Man films or these Spider-Man spin-off films, and just
Because there's
realize
the
that
intention very soon that they're going to be interconnecting, right?
yeah, yeah. Who knows? Who knows what's going to go on there? I just I've got no uh, there's no pull, there's no draw for me to go see these films. I don't know. Maybe check back in 5 years' time, and we'll see how it goes when they've got Craven the Hunter and all these other kind of
Was
things.
Morbius? Sorry, I'm not. Obviously I haven't seen the Venom movies, but was Morbius teased before this movie was announced?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like you said, who's going to watch? Like, hey guys, everybody, Morbius here. Like, he's excited to see Morbius. It's like it's an interesting. I'd be very interested to see how it does in the box office because it's not a recipe for success.
No, the biggest Morbius kind of thing outside of the comic books was in the '90s Spider-Man show where they had a good run with the character, but because of kind of the laws on what you could and couldn't show, um,
Is this the
uh,
animated show?
yeah, the animated Spider-Man show, which is honestly, I think, is one of the best iterations of Spider-Man. Like honestly, it's so good. But they couldn't show like a vampire like sucking somebody's blood or anything like
Yes,
that.
it's a kid show.
It's a kid show. It's a kid show. So he sucks their plasma through his hands. It's funny. Just go watch a clip or so. There's some very funny clips where he's like, "Plasma, plasma. I need plasma."
Well, that's like one of those shows that's been on the shelf for me for like so long. It's one of those ones like I watched a couple episodes as a kid, really dug it, but
Yeah,
never really followed through because I'm one of those like obsessive people. I need to watch something in order,
yeah.
or else I'm not doing it at all. So it's something I'm going to catch up one day because I heard it's really good and
Yeah.
it is good.
It is good. I actually I remember so I was living in Germany at the time when I guess the animated show was showing on one of the channels.
Okay,
But because of the time difference, it practically started as I was in school. So I got my mum to videotape it every day. So I'd come back and I'd have a videotaped episode of the '90s Spider-Man show.
in German.
No, no, no. We got like a few English channels. I can't remember if this was a time when we got like one English channel and they showed some cartoons, or if it like technology kind of bounced around.
Yeah, yeah.
After a while, we got a few English channels and stuff like that. But yeah, videotape the Spider-Man show, and yeah, I just very much remember them kind of teasing a eight-legged Spider-Man, like he's turning into a spider, and they were teasing this like this is going to happen in a future episode, and Peter Parker was obviously having these visions and wanted to stop it, and I was fully gripped from there, and that's probably how my love of Spider-Man started.
If you guys haven't caught on yet, Alex is a super fan of Spider-Man, if you haven't caught on yet. So actually quite interesting that where we went on the Sam Raimi tangent, because obviously he did the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy back in the early to mid 2000s. So that would be probably something we'd probably like to catch up on one day. I mean, I think we're both big fans of that trilogy.
I love them. I love them all. I even love Spider-Man 3. I think Spider-Man 3 has a lot of redeeming qualities. And I think
I need to catch up on that, because that's the one that Raimi even like kind of dedicates to saying that that's the one that he kind of didn't enjoy making.
yes,
It's fair
he
to
was
say.
forced to put Venom in it, and he
Yeah.
didn't want to put Venom in it, which is understandable. He's not the most interesting of characters. But here we are. Sony now have two Venom films and a Morbius film spinning off from it. So
People like it. I think it's just pure aesthetic. It's the junk food nature of the character, right?
yeah,
But yeah, I'll go on the record for saying Spider-Man 2 was and is still my favorite superhero movie of all time. So,
yeah,
I've got a lot to thank Sam Raimi for, because, I'm quite a skeptic when it comes to this genre. I'm not as into it as you. We have frequent conversations about superhero movies, and they work for me sometimes they don't. Yeah, Spider-Man's one of those superheroes that just absolutely has the package for me in terms of a fully fleshed character with problems and dilemmas, and I really latch onto the journey. It's great.
we'll catch up with some Spider-Man films in the future. I'm sure. I won't be able to get away from it.
first time I ever went to Alex's house, in his bathroom there's like a giant Spider-Man statue sitting in your bathroom.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. He's holding bubble bath, man. It's a Spider-Man bubble bath.
how old is
It's
that thing?
I don't know. I think the bubble bath's gone. I just use it as a statuette. It's the Tobey Maguire suit, so I kind of liked it.
So it's like it's approaching probably like 15 years old at least.
Oh my god, yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Like, I remember when I first went to the cinema to see Spider-Man 2. That was what was it, 2004, 2003, 2004? Like, where's
Yeah,
through
2004.
20 years ago?
Yeah, it's
That
weird, and I think that's one of the reasons why. I like Tom Holland as Spider Man, but he's like not my Spider Man. But I think one
mhm.
of the reasons for that is like there's never been a Spider Man that's been younger than me when I've watched the films.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Tom Holland's younger than me, and deep in my
You
heart,
lose that.
it didn't feel right, But I think he does a great job. I do think he does a great job. They've made some decisions that don't always sit well with a little nerd boy like me. But for the most part, I've enjoyed his time as Spider Man. Okay, so we want to we wanted to start like a challenge kind of segment. We've spoken about doing this before, where we almost challenge each other to watch a film, and that requires a little bit of prep work. So
Yeah.
what we've decided on is when you go on to streaming services such as Amazon Prime, they have a treasure trove of bad movies. You can just deep dive into these bad films.
Yeah.
But maybe not always necessarily bad, but just like weird, bonkers B movie premises. They just kind of get like lost on these streaming services. I don't know who watches them, if anybody does. So we were thinking of maybe calling this segment "The Films That Streaming Forgot." And the challenge is we've had to find the most bonkers, weird B movie bad film that we could find in the depths of a service like Amazon Prime,
Oh,
and kind of challenge.
and it's an abyss as well.
Oh yeah, it really is. I kind of love Amazon Prime for that though. Um, it's such a weird. The interface is so bad that it really puts
Yeah.
you off going on there.
You would never find these movies unless you did it via you've watched a movie, and then there's this shelf underneath the synopsis that says related to what you've watched, and then if you go for those and sift through those, there is absolutely, like you say, a treasure there's thousands of these things.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it makes you wonder if everybody and their mother has made a film and put it on Amazon. It's ridiculous, like
pretty
honestly
pretty
ridiculous.
much.
So we've both gone away. We've both found a film for each other to watch. Neither of us have seen these films,
Mhm.
and basically it's almost going to be like a bit of homework. Next episode, we're going to come back and report to each other what we watched. What the hell was that? Is probably going to be the result. We don't know. We'll find out next week. But that does mean that we have to kind of reveal to each other now what the films are going to be. Because Chris, you don't know what I've chosen for you, and I don't know what you've chosen for me.
And you should be scared, boy.
Yeah, we've kind of been messaging about like the rules of this and stuff like that, and I was saying like it should definitely be under 2 hours.
That's the thing. Like, we haven't really figured out the rules yet, right? I was thinking, like, what do I pick for Alex? Do I go the conventional, like, like we could do a Sharknado movie or something like that? I was like really struggling. I was like, I want to find the weirdest thing I could possibly find for you. I've been very cruel. So hopefully, just you'll. I think you'll enjoy it for what
See,
it is.
I think, I mean, I'm not saying I would watch the film that I'm going to give you, but it sounds like there's some fun to it.
Okay.
Well, shall I go for it? Shall I go
Yeah.
for it?
Right. Tell me what it is. Put me in my misery.
Well, I want to start by saying on IMDb, it's a 3.9.
That's promising.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's so far so good.
Solid 200 top 250 worst of all time list. Yep, I'll take
So
that.
far so good. On Letterbox, it's got an average rating of 1.9.
Oh my god. So, but the scary thing about that is, right? You've put it's such a low rating that it promises that it won't, at least it will be just like bad and boring. Like if the best bad movies are like a 3, where it's like they're bad but I had fun. Sounds like nobody here had fun.
I don't even think it has a Rotten Tomatoes score. So, this film is called Derailed. It's from 2018, directed by Dale Fabregat. So
American film masterpiece maker, yeah.
yep. And this is the kind of, little log line for it. Passengers on a murder mystery train that crashes into a river must decide whether to risk waiting for help in the wreckage or take their chances in the murky depths below. Now, I picked this because I did watch the trailer. It does look bonkers. But murder mystery train that has a robbery on it but derails, hence the title, into the river. But on the poster, there's like some kind of alien in the water.
Oh,
So it
okay.
sounds
Something
like
special about this body of water.
there's like 3 different films in one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks bonkers. Feel free to look up the poster, Chris,
Right.
if you want to see
I'm gonna type this up now.
D-railed.
Derailed. I can't find it. What year was it? What year did it come out?
2018.
Oh, right. Yes, got it here.
There's
Oh, okay.
there's
Yeah,
a
we've got a submerged train cart with people screaming to get out the windows and some lurking, undiscernible creature from the Black Lagoon sort of thing going on underneath.
Yep.
Is he
Yeah.
rescuing them, or is he? He could be the hero.
It looks bonkers. It looks bonkers. So, Chris, I think for the purposes of this segment as we get ready for this, do you want to watch the trailer and then report back to me on what you on if you're excited or not for this film?
Okay, what now?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh right, okay. Let's just flick this thing on. Bear with me. I've got a Judy Justice advert coming on. Right, here we are.
I'm gonna watch it with you.
Here we are, derailed.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Murder Mystery Express will be departing in 5 minutes.
We are now boarding the Murder Mystery Express.
Welcome aboard, please.
I welcome you to the M train. A mystery that must be solved, for by the conclusion of this evening, someone will die.
How long are we gonna run from this thing?
As long as we can.
There's gotta be some way to stop it.
What if this is just the way it ends?
I'm actually not too mad at you for this one. I think it's pretty good. It looks good. I'm looking forward to this.
That's what I thought. It looks bad, but it looks fun. it's a very weird. Never heard of it before.
It's a lean 80 minutes.
Yeah, so enjoy. I hope you come back with some good feedback. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you think about the film.
I feel like the biggest, like I feel like the worst person in the world right now.
Yeah,
Like,
you're giving me bad vibes because
oh, I'm giving you bad vibes, and they're justified. Right? Okay, your movie, pretty recent, 2019's masterpiece, Atlantis Untold.
okay.
It has 2 user reviews on IMDb,
Oh god.
and the plot is, I will read it out to you now. Brother and sister Jack and Sky Noble travel on a ship with their father across the Atlantic from Australia to their deceased mother's home in Cornwall.
Oh,
Yeah, we know that place.
We know Cornwall.
We know Cornwall. Shipwrecked alone on a remote island, they are sucked deep into a dangerous world where mystical guides of light prepare them to face the evil, the Dream Crusher, who opposes their journey. Their struggle brings them to the legendary city of Atlantis.
Oh. I've just seen the poster. Oh,
It can't even be. It looks more like the poster for anybody who's listening. It looks more like a brochure for your local aquarium,
or like like your local amateur theatre is putting on a production. It's just, oh
yeah.
no! What have you got me watching?
Is there even a trailer for it? It's on Prime.
There is a trailer.
Look, Amazon thought it was good enough that they wanted to reach out to Atlantis Untold and bring it into their streaming service so that everybody could enjoy it.
Oh my god, there is a trailer. Should I watch it?
Is there a trailer?
Yeah.
Alex, it was this or My Pet Dinosaur. I mean, come on.
I'm gonna watch it now. Okay, you ready?
Okay, all right. I'll watch it with you.
It's got an award of recognition.
It was recognized as existing.
Exactly.
Discover a world you never knew existed, and paths you never traveled. Make the most dangerous journey of all, the journey of following your dreams. Know that you are guided by forces unseen.
A film that looks like it was entirely shot in front of a green screen. I don't think there's any sets here.
A bit like Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh, Chris, what have you got me watching, man? What have you got me watching?
I'm so sorry.
That's harsh. How long is it?
It is, according to IMDb, I could be wrong. I mean, let me see. On Amazon, it says it's 1 hour and 48 minutes.
Oh. Okay.
The genres is drama, kids, action.
Oh, yours actually looks fun.
Oh, you know what? I actually feel so bad. And like, it's so terrible that I spent about 3 to 4 hours to bring you this.
That's fine. I guess,
Please, are you going to watch it with them? Is it going to be a date night?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Right. Okay, well, our weekends are sorted anyway.
All right, so next episode, there we go. I'll be watching Atlantis Untold, directed by Nigel Gallagher and Margie Gallagher. Nice, probably husband and wife duo, or brother-sister. Who knows?
Who knows?
Probably best not to speculate. And you'll be watching Derailed.
Derailed by Dale Fabregas. Yes.
I think one of us is going to be having more fun than the other. But I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to coming back and talking about them with you.
Oh yeah, I'm probably gonna get a death threat on the next episode, guys. Just to pre-warn you.
Trying to think now how I put this film into my schedule. I thought potentially this would be a fun Friday night film. Got a feeling this might be like a Sunday morning. Get it over and done with, Phil.
It's gonna be. Do you know what? It's gonna be you for 5 minutes. You watch it for 5 minutes, and I bet you'll just lie your way through it and just be on your phone until the credits roll.
Oh god! All right. Well, do you know what? Maybe I'm judging a book by its cover. It could be great.
It could be great. You know, it's got 2 reviews on IMDb,
Are they good reviews?
and no. Oh, what's it got on Letterboxd? Actually, it's on Letterboxd.
Letterbox. It doesn't even have an average rating.
Too good. Too good.
It's had 4 half-star ratings. and 3 4-star ratings. So
it has its fans.
That's an audience divided.
That is a divisive movie.
It's an audience divided for sure. So, all right,
Anyway.
I'm starting to regret even trying to plan this as a segment. I should never have pitched this idea.
I promise in future episodes, if we dare to do this again, if it works, I'll be kinder to you. I promise.
That's fine. I think it could be fun. So join us next time when we watch these films and we report back to each other in a segment we're provisionally calling the films that streaming forgot. I think that's what we're going to land on, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Maybe there's a reason, but we'll find out. That's the whole point. But great catching up with you, Chris.
Yeah, man.
I'm not sure if I'm excited for next time, but I'll see you then. That's the film angle. I'm Alex.
And I'm Chris.
Goodbye.